Hello, my friends. Do you remember the saying, "I can't see the forest for the trees"? We say that when we are missing the big picture and everything is too complex for us to understand. But sometimes we overcomplicate things for ourselves and think outside the box, even though everything is actually quite simple. It's the same with Donald Trump. We judge him by the standards we normally use to judge politicians. We have certain norms and values in our heads and judge according to a certain common sense, a kind of common sense that applies to all democracies in the world. And the United States is one of these democracies. We suspect all sorts of subtleties in Trump's actions. If there's no logic, then that's precisely the tactic he's using to fool everyone, be it Putin, Europe, or the world powers. Trump is so brilliant, we just haven't fully understood him yet. He thinks he's the most intelligent person in the world anyway. But actually, everything is completely different. We consider him to be something he isn't. Trump isn't really a real politician at all. He has been a businessman his whole life and isn't a self-made millionaire as he's always portrayed himself, but inherited a real estate empire from his father. You can read about the means and methods used to create this on the RTL website. I'll just say this: fake news hasn't just existed since Donald Trump. Donald Trump was also a talk show host and is very familiar with the media. He knows how to present himself and what resonates with other people. Trump is the buddy next door type who gives you a jovial pat on the back, but everything serves his profit and power. Like in the movie Largo with Humphrey Bogart and Edward G. Robinson, who plays the notorious gangster Rocco. What does Rocco want? He wants more. More and more, without limits. Over the years, Donald Trump has grown increasingly powerful through his money and social influence, even becoming president. Trump doesn't have the intelligence of Barack Obama, but he is a good businessman who has no scruples and will use any means to make a quick buck to consolidate his power. Morals and values only stand in the way. Trump is what we call street smart. When Donald Trump says America first, he is not a servant of the American people. For him it means Trump first. Anyone who thinks only of themselves in such a radically self-centered way is incapable of seeing the larger political picture, let alone what their actions mean for other people. See the freezing of foreign aid and his job cuts in American government agencies. But the world is not a Trump empire where everyone dances to his tune. And Trump is slowly starting to realize this too. Trump, a Putin admirer who boastfully announced during the election campaign that he could end the war in the Ukraine very quickly, must now realize that the things in Europe are more complicated than he assumed. He now seems to be distancing himself from Putin again because he is losing patience and things aren't going the way when he made an armchair decision at his golf club in Mar-a-Lago. I said earlier that Trump isn't a real politician. Trump is a political apprentice, a trainee, who unfortunately as US president is the most powerful man in the world. He has certain ideas that he has acquired over his long life as a businessman, and he is now simply testing them out during his time in office. What works and what doesn't. Trial and error. The world is becoming a political guinea pig for Donald Trump, learning by doing. Like a student driver with an instructor sitting next to him who can intervene with an extra brake if a crisis arises. Learning in a protected environment. The problem, however, is that Trump races through the world like a ghost driver without a driving instructor. Without a driving instructor, because he has placed only the yes and amen sayers without backbone at the key positions in government. In one of the world's oldest democracies, Trump rules like a king. That won't last long. The resources of the United States, the global trading power, are also finite. When Trump sees with his own eyes what his tax experiment means for prosperity in America, he will quickly backtrack. It is as if you were dealing with a child who has to experience things for himself before believing the adults. Trump is currently in the process of experiencing things for himself. God bless you, my friends. See you next time. Bye.